Good afternoon. My name is Tim Lynch. I am your host of Legal Lines. Legal Lines is brought to you every third Wednesday of every month by the Massachusetts LGBTQ Bar Association. Our guests here today are Allison Wright of GLAD and Hope Freeman of GLASS. We're going to be discussing a very sensitive issue which unfortunately has not gotten the media attention it deserves, and that is LGBTQ homeless youth. Anybody who works downtown Boston has seen with their own eyes an increase in homeless youth, and sadly they tend to be LGBT youth, and in my opinion it is a crisis. So let's talk a little bit. First of all, thank you guys for being on this program, and why don't you just first tell us a little bit about your organization. Hope, why don't we start with you?
Sure. So my name is Hope Freeman, and I work for an organization called Boston GLASS. Boston GLASS stands for Gay, Lesbian, Adolescent Social Services. We are a program under JRI Health, or Judicial Research Institute. So Boston GLASS, we're located right in downtown Boston, right on West Street. We work with young people between the ages of 13 and 25. The majority of the young people we work with are homeless or disproportionately housed. Some are living with HIV, some identify as trans or trans-identified, and a lot of the young people are people of color. What I do there, I'm the Youth Development Coordinator, so I oversee a program for young people as far as employment, to get them adjusted to being able to work kind of in the real world with a schedule. They act as mentors or peer leaders to other youth in the center around safer sex issues, HIV awareness, things like that. I also do HIV testing and counseling. I do STD screening there as well. And I also do cultural competency workshops with adults that work with LGBTQ youth to help them be more inclusive in their programs.
Wow, you cover an awful lot. Well, let me then switch over to you, Allison. What do you do over at, first of all, remind our viewers what GLAD is and what you do there.
Yep, sure. So GLAD with a single A. I do want to add that in there because a lot of times when I'm speaking to the public, people confuse us with double A GLAD. So single A GLAD stands for Gay, Lesbian Advocates and Defenders. We're a legal organization that was founded in 1978. Dedicated to ending discrimination based on gender identity, expression, HIV status, and sexual orientation. Yeah, and I'm a staff attorney there. I have the privilege of working with greats like Mary Bonato and Jennifer Levi and Ben Klein and Vicki Henry. The list could go on. And I primarily work in GLAD's youth initiative, which is solely dedicated to empowering and educating and providing the safety and equality of LGBTQ and HIV positive youth in New England and nationally through impact litigation.
Wow. Well, let's start off first with you, Hope, but I'd like to remind our viewers, if at any time you have a question, please feel free to call in. Our number here is 617-708-3290. Again, 617-708-3290. So, Hope, going back to you, you cover a wide range of issues.
Indeed.
Wow. And I guess, first of all, typically, what kind of kids do you see? I mean, what are the main issues that they're dealing with?
Sure. So a lot of the young people that we see, although the age ranges from 13 through 25, the majority of the young people who come into the center are in the 17 through 25 range. So a lot of the young people are on the verge of kind of aging out, as we call it, so no longer able to utilize the services that are just for 13 through 25-year-olds. So we get a lot of young people who are either in high school, have decided to leave high school, or haven't completed. Young people who are going to day school or night school. There's a lot of young people who are in college, some who have not been able to afford completing college. So it runs the gamut. A lot of the young people, as I stated earlier, we are a risk reduction agency. So basically we screen folks for HIV, we report to the Department of Public Health and the Boston Public Health Commission. So we're funded under those two organizations to do counseling and testing and STD screenings. So that's our main mission. A lot of the other young people who come in, they use us kind of a drop-in center. they come after school, or they come during the day. We've recently changed our hours to accommodate the young people who are not in school and who are living on the streets or disproportionately housed.
When you say drop-in center, what does that mean?
So what a drop-in center is basically we're there just to meet people's general needs, or young people's general needs. So we have a kitchen, we have computers, we have games, we have movies. We also have social workers, counselors. So if a young person wants to speak with a behavioral health clinician, it's completely free. You don't need insurance. You can talk to someone, set up an appointment that way. We have case managers and caseworkers. So if someone wants to work around getting housing or solidifying their SNAP or EBT benefits, they can work with someone there. Even if they just want someone to talk to that doesn't feel so, oh, I have to meet with a clinician at 3 p.m., they can drop in and have those conversations with us as well. So it's literally dropping in. It's a one-stop shop. Whatever it is that you need, you come in for the center. If we don't have it, we refer you to an organization that does.
And we probably should say, where is this center located?
Oh, so we're located currently at 25 West Street. So that's off of Tremont Street, right near Park Street, downtown crossing area. So we're right in downtown.
Wow. And have you seen any particular trends over the last few years?
There have been a lot of trends. We recently moved. So before we were at 93 Massachusetts Avenue, which was Newbury, Mass Ave, kind of under Prudential, Copley area. There's always trends, so usually there'll be young gay men of color, then that wave will go away, and then there will be queer women or lesbians of color, then that wave will go away, and there'll be a lot of genderqueer or trans-identified young people that come in. So we usually tailor the center to the specific need of the demographic that we're seeing, or that's their needs need to be met. So currently, because it's the end of the summer, there's not that many young folks coming in, but the young folks that do come in for snacks, or they come in to meet with me or meet with another counselor or clinician. We also have a lot of things happening at the center. So we have a youth advisory board, so young people can take pride in putting together events and things that happen in the center, parties, things like that. So we make sure that there's a lot going on in the center so that folks are occupied during the day.
And have you observed an increase in LGBTQ homeless youth?
Absolutely. So I talk with my coworkers a lot, and we say that the face of homelessness changes a lot, because you'll have a young person who will be working, maybe have 2 or 3 jobs, look very put together, but they're couch surfing or they're couch hopping, and they don't have a permanent place to live. There are a lot of folks who fit that stereotype of what a quote-unquote homeless person is supposed to look like, whereas like you don't have access to showers or you don't have access to clean clothing, but it's always measuring who comes in with whatever problem first. We were looking over some numbers the other day, and it's saying in Massachusetts, LGBTQ youth account for 40% of homeless youth in Massachusetts alone. Wow. which is a lot of young people.
An awful lot of young people, and they must have specific needs, being LGBTQ youth.
Absolutely. A lot of the specific needs, so when we think about healthcare, or someone just going in to see a counselor or a doctor, having to come out to their doctor and maybe not feeling like it's safe to come out to their doctor or to their therapist. There has been instances where a lot of folks are worried that the therapist or doctor will tell their parents or tell their guardians, which will also create conflict. And then if they do come out to these folks, how they're going to be received, because the simplest eyebrow raise or the pause, a lot of young people pick up on, and that's kind of a roadblock in access to care, and will make a young person not want to go back to any type of doctor.
Sure. So why do you think there's been this increase in LGBTQ homeless youth?
From what my understanding, and just with a lot of the young people that I've spoken to, of course I haven't spoken to every young person, but with a lot of the young people I speak to, folks are coming out a lot younger. There's a lot of young people who are exploring their gender identity and their gender expression in different ways and at a lot younger ages. And a lot of older people or adults in their lives simply don't understand. So when we see young people, we automatically presume that a young person doesn't know what they want out of their life or doesn't know what they're going. I use the example, doesn't know what love is a lot. But these are young folks who are able to navigate their their lives in incredibly resilient ways as young adults living on the street or living between homes. So what I'm noticing is that there's conflict in the household, and either they'll be asked to leave, told to leave. Some of my young people have found their stuff on the sidewalk, or they'll choose to leave on their own because there's just too much conflict in the household. And the same goes with a lot of young people who are in foster care or with foster families.
They leave the foster family because of they being LGBT.
Yes, there was one instance where I had a young person who was fostered with a pastor and the pastor's family, and it was constantly, you're an abomination, you're going to go to hell, all these things being reinforced. And this young person's like, I don't believe that, and then they'll choose to leave or they'll be switched out. So there's that constant fear of being rejected, so doing the pushing away before you're pushed away.
Gosh, it's horrible. So I imagine one of the things we have facing these youth is the accessibility of homeless shelters. And I got to switch over to Allison here because she knows something about that. Tell us about homeless shelters for youth in LGBT youth in Massachusetts.
Yeah, sure. It's not great. It's not looking too great for LGBTQ homeless youth, particularly transgender people. Recent studies have suggested that 40% of homeless youth identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. And transgender people, whether youth or adult, experience homelessness at twice the rate of the general population. Particularly homeless transgender people face severe discrimination, whether trying to access homeless shelters, or if they are permitted access to homeless shelters, then they suffer isolation, segregation, and harassment once they're in the shelter. And that kind of treatment serves as a barrier to homeless transgender people receiving a critical safety net within the homeless shelter system.
Yeah, because when you think about it, I mean, Hope, you mentioned trouble in the foster home, being LGBT youth, and that's what the state provides. And then you have homeless shelters that are run by private organizations, and they're not safe either.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so these children become street people.
Yeah, couch surfing, or living on the street, which then resulting to survival crimes. Because one of the things with homeless shelters, it's a package. Not only do they provide housing, they also provide other services within the shelter, like employment training, permanent housing search, and even drug rehabilitation, which is big. Like Hope talked about coping mechanisms, I think it was earlier, of how youth who are homeless use drug and alcohol as coping mechanisms.
Oh my goodness. So the problems just get worse. So what has GLAD been doing about this?
So we've been doing a lot.
As always.
Yes. Number one, we highly believe in legal outreach and education. So we partnered with Boston Glass actually to conduct a series of workshops there. And we were educating the youth on various topics like employment discrimination, housing discrimination, CORI reform. And from that outreach at Boston Glass, we met our current client, who...
And before you go there, because you said CORI
reform. Yeah.
So what is that?
Oh, CORI reform refers to people's arrest records and whether or not, for example, employers can see certain records when you're applying for employment. So we had actually a guest speaker come in, because I am not an expert on CORI reform. I think we had someone come in from the Boston Legal Services, and they came in and gave youth information about how to seal their records for employment and housing purposes.
Okay, good. So you provide outreach and training, and now you've actually have a case involving a homeless youth.
Yes, we do.
Tell us about that.
So our courageous client is a transgender woman who, at the age of 19, was homeless, and she needed a place to stay until she found permanent housing and employment. So the shelter in this specific case